And we are live again with the live instant chat stream. If you are there, please do say hello. Tonight, in general, I guess. One of the things I do is get these Eureka miniatures based up at least for tonight. I'm not going to be painting those tonight because I can base them, but that's like a secondary thing, really. The other things I really want to deal with is these have been sat on the bench for 1,000 years now. These are the last of the just now need a highlight, so I'm going to do that, and I want to get those done and out of the way first of all. That's going to be my first thing. So they're on the list, and then next on the list, hopefully if I get to it tonight, is going to be trying to finish off this building as well. This is from Empires of War. As you can see, in the last paint and chat, I was painted in the windows, done the interior, and painted the doors and things. So I just want to do a bit of weathering on this, and that's probably what I'm going to be doing tonight. So that's on the list as well. So I'm going to start with these French figures first of all. There's only 7 of them, so this shouldn't take too long. And also we can deal with that as we need to, as we go along. So if you are there out in the crazy world of the internet, give me a shout, say hello, let me know who's there and who isn't there. And I can see 4 of you here now. So I'm just starting, like I say, I'm starting with these French infantry flag carriers. I actually printed out the flags earlier on. I forgot to bring them upstairs. They're down with the printer, but we can do that later. I don't need to do that tonight, or if I do, I'll do it later anyway, because these are going to need to be varnished before I put any flags on or anything anyway. Good evening, Terry. Nice to have you here. I've got so here is really I'm just going. I've given everything a good wash in Agrax. I actually ran out of Agrax the other day, so I had to nip down to Games Workshop. I got myself 3 fresh tubs of it because I go through it like nobody's business. I'm sure a lot of us do here. I was chatting to the guy in Games Workshop. We were talking because they always ask you what you're painting, and I'm never painting anything Games. But we were talking about, he was talking about doing fantasy in 15mm. So I don't know if he's allowed to do that in Games Workshop, talk about other products, but well, I think we were talking about Kings of War and that kind of stuff. But it's literally just around the corner from me, actually, the Games Workshop here in Rotherham. It's about 5-minute walk into the centre of town, and it's in a good location when I do run out of Agrax. It's the only thing I buy from there, actually, I think, apart from the occasional null oil. I'm not using any null oil for a while because I've not, evening Kevin, I've not painted many vehicles, so I've not really needed it, to be honest. So I'm just now slowly working my way through these just to get rid of them. This is the command units, so we've got some drummers here and a couple of guys with flags. With the Eagles, I don't think I'll ever, probably, if I'm only ever going to play sharp practice with these, I'll probably never need anything more than these, because you only have a few command units in sharp practice. So I'll be quite happy with what I've got here once they're done. But then, best laid plans of mice and men and all that, and before you know it, I'll probably be doing I don't know what Blucher in 15mm, you see. Steve says you love the Kings of War, the only fantasy game I play now. I've never played it, I just know of it. I haven't played any fantasy games since Warhammer Fantasy Battles, but when it was second edition, I think that was the last time I played that. Just no particular interest in fantasy gaming at all. And if you have, fine, grand, good for you. Just not my thing. each to their own at the end of the day. I don't even know how it plays, what you use in it or anything, what scale it is. A feeling that it's 15 mil. You could probably play anything with it, I suppose, can't you? So these should be relatively easy to get painted up tonight. That's my main goal, just getting these things. Nigel says he found a load of Warhammer figures in the attic when rummaging the other day. They're probably worth a lot of money, Nigel, if they're the old ones anyway. They do command quite a high price on eBay these days. Old Warhammer stuff. 28 mil. Can you play it in 15 mil? For some reason, I just feel like you can. I suppose at the end of the day, you can play it in anything, can't you? Really? Well, there's nothing stopping you. So let's just get this flesh done on these chaps. So these are a painting table now for far too long. So I thought I'll just get them finished off, and then they're done, aren't they? I don't have to think about it. Hey Sean, good evening. Good to see you here. How you doing? You do have 6x6 mil armies as well. One must be 10 years old. Or maybe not old enough to command much of a price then. 10 years old. I'm talking more like the stuff from 30 years ago, of which I don't have a great deal because I sold it all, which is a shame really, because I used to have their Judge Dredd range, the original Judge Dredd range. Yeah, what Steve said. About time you joined in, Sean. I mean, ignoring us all this time. How dare you? I'm only joking. It's good to have you here. Nice to say hello. So is anybody going to be watching the Little Wars? I posted it on Twitter earlier. The Little Wars Caesar Awards. It's at UK time midnight this Saturday. I'm going to stay up and watch it anyway. You're trying to find something to paint. I'm sure you've got something to paint in your Antietam collection. I know you finished it, haven't you? Well, then you've got 6 mil Napoleonics for Blucher. That's your next goal. Or what about 6 mil Sharp Practice? How about that? I don't know if you'll be able to work it out. Evening, Andrew. Good to see you. Kevin, one of my old mates played Kings of War, but myself, I like Alex, has not played fantasy games. Although he used to play a fantasy card game called Lords of War. No, I don't know that one. That one escapes me. I'm sure it's good though. Just nipping in these. Eyes are too old for that. Yeah. Well, that's why you need glasses and Ian's mobile phone solution. Hey, here's Crossing Obstacle Gaming. Kev, I'll show you now when the club reopens. There you go. Bringing people together. That's what live streams are all about. Crossing Obstacle says, hey all, hey to you. Bjorn, your eyes are too old to paint anything smaller than 20 mil. It's just lines and dots. Steve says he's played historical Kings of War. Good fun as well. Okay. I suppose you can change any fantasy set into a historical set if you like, can't you? Kevin, excellent. Your mates in Stoke. That's good to know. A small world of archaeology, eh? Bjorn's just reminded me, Crossing Obstacle Gaming. Everybody go over and he said you mentioned it and you felt a bit bad for make sure people know. Evening all, good evening to you. Apologies for being late. Can we start again now? Yeah, I'll rewind, don't you worry. My connection is unstable apparently. do apologise. I'm getting messages and stuff. My wife, they have their own historical set of the rules. Okay. What kind of stuff can you use historically? I mean, is it like black powder, or is it medieval periods? I say I literally don't know anything about them really, apart from the name. So I sounded good to the bloke in. It is Nigel Atter, the author. I sounded good to the guy in Games Workshop. If he'd have asked me anything about it, I would have crumbled, because I wouldn't be able to. I'd just say, "Oh, well, I've only heard of them." I got this little set of serving wenches from Museum Miniatures. It's a bit of a strange set. There's something like, I think there's six or eight figures in it, and they're all the same. I would hope that it'd be slightly different, but they're not. They're all the same here. So I'm just giving her a nice red dress. Oh, tell you what I forgot to do there. She's quite a bosomy lass. I just forgot to paint them, so I'll highlight those. Go back and highlight them. But Sharp Praxis is full of funny little interesting things that happen in the random events. Yes, we have everybody on this chat. That is a very bright red. This is, yeah, it's a Humbrol red. Again, I kind of really just use it for highlighting as much as anything else. So it's only tiny spots that I use it on. In the shadow of Bois Hugo last night. Excellent. Thanks for the shout out. Not a problem. As I say, everybody jump over there and subscribe. Put a link up. Be on, please do. Just link to your channel so everyone can jump onto it. You may as well use this space. Did plenty of talking going on, everything from Chariot Wars up to late medieval, if I remember right. More Hollywood historical than anything else. Yeah, of course. Well, that just makes for a good fun game, doesn't it, really? I think. You know, you can get simulation from certain games and fun from others. I kind of prefer the fun factor. Of course, you know, I like historicals and I like to be historical. Well, that doesn't mean to say you can't have fun. It's part of it. I can speak English, honestly. I doubt that if you're from Stoke. Excellent. I have to make a conscious effort to use red paint on all my minis. Yeah, I don't use it often. I mean, it's a very much a Napoleonic thing more than anything else. It's all toy soldiers at the end of the day. Absolutely, 100%. That's all it is. We're just moving tiny soldiers about. If you take it too seriously, then I think you're doing it wrong. It's a game. It's for getting together with your mates and having a laugh. Anything more than that, and I think you are doing it wrong. You could not listen to watch it last night, so you're going to watch it today. Good. Cheers, Kevin. Hope you enjoy it. I've been giving that talk for quite a long time now, with a few changes here and there, but mostly it's about the same. I update it every so often as we do new things. Good evening, Paul. Good to have you here as well. Of the other people watching, if you are watching, please do jump in and say hello. So it's all good to have people here. The more the merrier. Which brushes do I prefer? Well, the ones I'm using here, these are Italiera ones. Italeri. I can never say that right. Italeri. They were bought for me by my sister and brother-in-law at Christmas. I basically bought myself and my wife a box of presents each, and one of the many things that was in there was this set of brushes. So I'd obviously just gone to a model shop and picked some up. The other ones I normally use are these ones, Windsor and Newton Cotman. These are ones for detail. I've got loads of old crap ones as well, but these ones are I get them from the range. There's a range shop close by here again, so I just go and get them from there because they're relatively cheap, but they're quite good brushes. Because they're relatively cheap, it means I don't mind so much if they get knackered pretty quick, so I'll just go and get some new ones, and then they get put into the dry brush pile, which is, it gets bigger and bigger until I get to a point where I decide to clean everything out and realise that I've got a load of brushes that have only got one bristle on them. And I think, why am I hanging on to that? What use is that? I'm sure everybody's about the same, really. Where are we at? Maybe should get Nigel onto the podcast to talk First World War. Yes, definitely. You definitely should. It would be a good guest. It'll be an interesting one. And what we said, you finish your Austrians and you're painting Bavarians now. Brilliant. Which podcast is that? That is God's Own Scale podcast, Nigel. It's well worth listening to. And not just for the episode that I'm on. There's plenty of other people on there as well. Using posh brushes. I don't know about that. You prefer sable, but you have to take care of them. Yes, yeah. The ones I got over there, the Newton, Windsor and Newton ones are Kolinsky sable. These are made in China, so I doubt they are Kolinsky sable. I use my missus's makeup brushes to paint dry brush. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Get a hold of the big, thick, flat ones. Ages ago, I bought a load of dry brushing brushes from Humbrol. They've lasted me. I still use them. I use them for everything, really. But they are just flat, fat brushes, really. Pro Art brushes for you, Paul. Okay. I know the name. I never use them. The problem is with brushes, you've always got to look after them no matter what they are. That's the thing, isn't it? Otherwise, they do just fall to pieces. So, like this one, see, that's the ferrule on this one has come off already, so it's not that posh. I'm gonna have to stop using that one and try a different one. But it was really, really good presents actually. There it goes. There's a 301. After my heart using cheaper brushes. Yeah, synthetics do the job just as well for me. I couldn't trust yourself with a Windsor and Newton. Steve knows. As I say, the only reason I have the Windsor and Newton ones is because I get them cheap at the range. I say cheap, they're about £2 or £3 each. It's definitely cheaper than Games Workshop's prices or anything else. So I don't really mind, and they do last. They do last pretty well as well. This current batch I've had for at least a year, I think, possibly a little bit more. But yeah, I don't really see the point in going mad on brushes. Is it the Stoke War Games Club in here tonight? Is it? Does everybody know each other? Pro Art are from Yorkshire. Yes, indeed they are. What's the range? The range is just a big cheap shop, like what's it called? Like a B&M Bargains. It's just one of those places where they have something of everything, and it's all dead cheap. And they have an art supply section in it. I also get, if I'm in there, I'll probably pick up some primer as well, spray primer. The stuff I've got at the moment is from Wilco's, but they at the range they also do stuff like this, like the plastic coats stuff, and it's usually about £5 for a tin. So it's a lot cheaper than going to places like Games Workshop. Exactly the same stuff, really. The General Hague, I've just answered that. So what shop is the range? Seen them, never been inside. They do, as I say, they have a really good art section, or at least the one near me has a good art section. And you can get quite a lot of good stuff in there that you need for gaming or for painting or anything like that. And they got loads of stuff in there, and it's relatively cheap as well. I am not from Stoke, how dare you? Just finished painting your Vikings for Raven Feast. Excellent, good to hear. I had a problem with my last few figures when I varnished them. Why? What happened? Did they frost up? I know that can be a problem. If that's the case, one of the things you should do, or at least one of the things I do, and I've never had an issue with it, is I'll show you, is this stuff. It's like a Windsor and Newton house here. This is Windsor and Newton Professional Matte Varnish. It's the art varnish, and I'll go through this stuff, but it's expensive, but it's the best varnish I've ever used. It has never frosted on me. As long as you get the professional art stuff, it's that's the best stuff. The other stuff, just the basic, is got a bit of a satin finish to it, but the professional art matte stuff is absolutely excellent. I would thoroughly recommend it, 100%. Steve's a Bristolian, but we'll let him in Stoke if he smartened himself up a bit. Use it, Nigel. Good stuff. Good to hear. You're calling to range tomorrow. I've used their sprays before. Yeah, they have the car section, or again, at least they do in the one close to me. So Alpha, evening, good evening. Yeah, they have a good car section which has a lot of paints in it and stuff, so you can use that, get them from there. A lot of good primers and things. So I'm just gonna have to do this without talking, so I don't want to go cross-eyed. One moment. I shall be with you in a second. I just want a tiny little brush. I'll answer these questions first. Top quality. How is the spray for protection? Fantastic, really good. I mean, unless of course, you're throwing your figures about and bouncing them off walls and stuff, they're perfect. They're perfectly good. How much is the varnish? Ooh, well, this is the big question. I usually get it online. I'll pay about 15 quid for it, which sounds like a hell of a lot of money for one tin of it, but it does go a long way. And as I say, it's the best stuff that I've ever used, and I would never use anything else. I don't think. I'm prepared, because I know how good it is. I'm prepared to pay that extra bit of money for it. Cannot beat my varnishes. Oh, the Ammo Mig ones. I've never tried those, but yeah, I think they're probably very well developed. They're probably expensive though as well, I expect. But this stuff is fantastic. The Windsor and Newton. Yeah, it is expensive. As I say, I'm not. One moment. Don't worry, I haven't died. I'm just doing white. It is expensive, but it's perfect. Perfect for what I need, and that's the main thing. And as I say, I'm prepared to pay for it because it goes a long way as well. One tin. I only have to restock every so often. And that's the main thing. I always think, pay cheap, pay twice. Right, there we go. I use a Windsor bottle mat. I had this problem since using Games Workshop spray about 20 years ago. I changed, spent a bit more on good varnish. Yeah, I just switched to AK Interactive Ultra Matte brush on. Really, really matte. Okay, that's probably worthwhile having a look at as well. I use Mr. Super Clear. Use not Mr. Super Clear, but just Super Clear. Oh no, it is Mr. Super Clear. I guess everybody has their own favourites and their own preferences. Ultramat is good through the airbrush. I'm sure it is. I was thinking about using varnishes through the airbrush. Obviously, I've got it in a spray bottle, so that's impossible to use on a spray. And Tester's dull coat. That has a good reputation as well, which I know. The thing with the Windsor and Newton is I know a lot of people can only spray at certain times of the year because of humidity and stuff. I've never had that problem with the Windsor and Newton. It works all year through. So I don't know if I can't remember if I asked, is anybody watching the Little Wars Caesar Awards this weekend? It's on I know it's on at midnight UK time, but 5 o'clock, no, 8 p.m. on Eastern American time. I'm going to watch it, obviously, because I've got a vested interest in it. I don't think I'm going to win, but it's going to be nice to see. Is it going out live? Yes, they are. It's going to be a live video. I mean, they've already recorded it, but they're having a live chat as far as I'm aware. I think they recorded it a few weeks ago, according to the messages they sent out a little while ago. It's going to be interesting. Have you got your tuxedo already? We'll probably stay up and watch it. Yes, I've got my Little Wars is on Saturday, Nigel, 24th. I have got my I haven't got a tuxedo ready. A bit sad, sat in my house on my own with a tuxedo. I might have a little drink. Like I say, I don't think I'm going to win. A bit late at school night. Saturday night school night, is it? We'll have my fingers crossed for you, Alex. Cheers, thank you. That's much appreciated. I'll have my own fingers crossed for me. As I say, I don't think I'm going to win, but having come in the top 5 of their fan favourites, I'm more than chuffed with that. It's a good achievement anyway, which is nice. Keep your speed short. I will do. Yes, it's Saturday night, 24th. You got my vote. Thanks, Sean. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. You got my vote in the podcast section. I can't remember who came in top in those because you could see the results as a patron. So I was watching them, but I can't remember who came in top on the ones because there's obviously quite a few names I want to win. The thing is, if I don't win, I really want I want Travis at Tabletop CP to win because Travis and I are really the underdogs in that competition. You think the lad is just picture? Oh, on the podcast. Yeah, I can't remember the results on that one. But again, Sean, at the end of the day, it's not about winning. It's about being nominated. That's what I think. It's just that recognition, I guess. And the Gods on Scale, it's a great podcast. If you haven't listened to it, do so. Go and give him some listens. Eric, good day. I'll probably watch it at some point. Good luck. Thank you. Well, I think it'll be available straight after Sunday morning viewing. It's just a shame they've got it on so late, really, but because it's a Saturday night, it doesn't matter so much. It's being out there. Yeah, we certainly are out there. I'm just painting these figures now, and I've just realised that I've missed loads of stuff on them because they've been sat there for so long, and I wasn't really concentrating on them. Like I've got scabbards on some of these drummer boys that I've completely missed. They're just white. Ah well, I guess there'll only be me that'll ever notice. To be honest, nobody will ever look at them. 7 a.m. start on Sunday. Oof, I booked the day off. Sean does have some great guests on. He certainly does. Some really interesting stuff on there. We're in a golden age for Wargaming podcasts and YouTubes. Yeah, definitely. I think I 100% agree with that. I think it's great. I don't know if it's because of the COVID pandemic has made a lot of people turn to digital outputs, or if just people have just shifted onto these kind of ways of doing things from moving on away from blogs, perhaps. I think technology has helped as well. Just the fact that it's so easy to be able to do. Well, not easy, but it's you can get into stuff pretty quickly and simply without a great spend. Most computers come with a camera these days, or a webcam or something, or a microphone, so you can record things pretty simply and easily. The fact that we're all, we can all Zoom and do all that kind of thing as well helps. So, like for Sean's podcasts and things, you don't have to be in the same room if you don't want to be. You can, you can talk to anybody in the world, really. I think it's great. So yes, it is a golden age. It's great. I think embrace technology. There's nothing wrong with it. Speaking of which, today I just finished uploading. I think people's like the dynamic of live feed. Yes, there is that as well. I think you're right, Alex. YouTube and podcasts are a lot easier to access these days. Blogs are full away, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I know I have on mine. I'm slowly updating it, but I'm just more interested in doing videos. They just get a much bigger audience. And why am I writing a blog? I'm writing a blog to put stuff out there. If I want to get stuff out there, you want people to see it, don't you? So you may as well do the thing that gets the biggest audience rather than the thing that isn't. And I just noticed how I've done a couple of experiments recently just to see how many people look at either the blogs or the videos that I post, and it just turns out that the videos just win hands down when it comes to the amount of views. They're just so easy to access, I suppose, isn't it? And people can listen to podcasts and listen to videos while they're painting or driving or anything. You can't do that with a blog. You've got to sit down and physically read it. So it takes up all of your time and your energy at that point, doesn't it? And I think people have probably just realised that it's nice to have something on in the background, because I know my listening habits have changed massively over the last year in particular. They'd kind of changed already from listening just to music, but then I started listening to talk radio and stuff like Radio 4 and things, but now I just listen primarily to podcasts, and not just wargaming ones. I've been listening to a lot of Adam Buxton's podcast recently as well. They're very good if you like his style, and I do. And he's got some very good guests on there as well. Sean, you still followed the Stone Steel blog for a few years, but for the video content, yeah. You know, one of the few channels I was religiously watching. Oh, thank you. Along with Little Wars and a couple of others. I wonder if the hobby is moving away from blogs to videos. Yeah, I certainly think it is. Totally agree. Plus, not all of us are great readers, but there is that as well. That's the other thing. You can do a lot with video or with podcasts that you can't do with the written word. And also, it depends on the people that are writing them as well. Whether they're good writers is the other aspect of it as well. You know, not everybody is. I mean, I certainly don't class myself as, and I look back on some of my old blog posts and there's typos everywhere and clunky sentences and things. You know, and I think, what was I thinking when I was writing that? I didn't even realise. Whereas with a video, you can kind of edit a lot of that stuff out. I just spent today making a new Storm of Steel military history video. Not all today. Hey Jason, you alright? Good to see you. I've done an introduction to Napoleon's Grand Army and the Imperial Guard. I've spent the last few days working on it. Proofreading your own work, not so challenging. Yeah, you just can't see it, can you? You can't see anything, all your mistakes. But yeah, I just uploaded another video. That'll be out in the next few weeks. I thought I've not made a military history video in a long time, so I want to do one. And somebody asked me the other day, and we were talking over on and it was on the Virtual Lard Discord, and we were just talking about the French light troops, and somebody was asking about the Voltigeurs, and I just thought, yeah, people don't know this stuff, do they? I mean, you know, if you know it, you know it, and it's basic knowledge. But a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of things out there that people just have no knowledge of. So I thought, right, I'm going to write a little video all about literally an introduction to Napoleon's army and the different type of troops that he used, and cavalry and artillery and things. And you know, it's only very basic things, but they just take so long. That's the problem with the military history stuff. The videos, making the gaming videos are a lot easier because I can set the game up and play it and then just edit it, really. But doing the military history stuff, you've got to, first of all, you've got to research it. You've got to find all the information. Then you've got to write the script, because I usually read them off a script. This one was 4,000 words, I think it came in at. And then you've got to record it, the voiceover. So this one I think is about 23 minutes long, but the original take of it came up to about half an hour, because of obviously I kept making mistakes, so I had to go back and re-record bits of it and re-record bits of it. Then you've got to go back and edit it, and then you've got to clean up the voiceover itself. Then you've got to put it into your software. Then you've got to find all the images and any footage and things that you want to use in it, and splice all that together and make sure all that goes together. It just takes forever. It really does. It's a, you know, a huge piece of work. It's a massive slice of doing them. Jason says 4,000. I only did 1,500 words for my history GCSE written work. Yeah. 4,000 was about the length of my MA essays, if I remember correctly. I think it was about 4,000 words. But it means it's about 20-25 minutes worth of speech, so they're quite long. You've done a couple of podcasts for the Western Front Association. Yeah, using a question and answer format. That seems to work okay. Yeah. I watch and listen to a number of sites, also follow a few blogs, but prefer visual. All are excellent. I think the thing with us historical wargamers is we're all a bit slow into getting into things. I mean, the Warhammer fraternity of and sorority have been doing videos for years, and I think the historical wargamers were always slightly slow on the take up of a lot of things. You know, we very slowly start to embrace things, and I think this is the same with with podcasts and with video. I wonder if it's a generational thing, to be honest, because a lot of youngsters, I say youngsters, 20 odd year old youngsters who play Warhammer more readily than they play, say, historical Napoleonics. It's usually something for all us old farts, really. So it's interesting to see the difference between the generations, really, as to what people enjoy doing. And I think that's why there's a lot of historical wargaming blogs, but not so much YouTube content or podcasts. But it's changing, absolutely changing. Friends of General Haig. So, should we classify the old guard as conscripts as they just stood at the back and crumpled? Yeah, absolutely. There's grognards. I didn't actually know until I was doing the research as to how it all worked. Really, what was it? The old guard were formed initially in 1804 from the consular guard, and then the middle guard were formed in 1811. I'm just trying to remember. After they'd been called the young guard for a while, you had to have be at least 35 to get into the old guard, but have served in 3 campaigns, have faced the enemy to the front, firing from the front, and also be 5'8" in the chasseurs and 5'11" in the grenadiers. But if you've got the Legion of Honor, it didn't matter about the height. So it could be shorty if you wanted, as long as you got the Legion of Honor. Anyway, I shouldn't tell you too much because it'll ruin the video for you. My history written assessment was evacuation, as in kids, etc. World War II. Was Dunkirk a miracle or a disaster? Working with different sources within the paper and its own conclusions. Well, was it a disaster or a miracle? I'm going to go with disaster because it was a massive retreat. We just think it was a miracle. We call it a miracle. It's just they just managed to get away. But the army was pretty much destroyed at that point. Yeah, it was both. It was a miracle to get them off the beach, but it was absolute disaster militarily. Okay, I think they're pretty much done at this point. So I'm just going to stick these to one side for now. I'll get those sprayed later on, and then I will finish their bases off tomorrow, I think. And add the flags and stuff that needs to go on them. So I think I'm fine with those. Happy with them being done. The amount of guys got away, but all the heavy equipment was left on the beaches, wasn't it? So it's like, well, we're alive. Everything we had is over there. Right, let's get rid of this. Okay, what we're going to do here is I'm going to start weathering this building now, I think. That's my next thing. Yep, disaster. They just got away. Royal Navy lifted an uncle off the beaches. He returned to France in June 44. Yeah, it's funny how in the UK we play it as this, or in general it's played as this amazing thing that they did. And I mean, yeah, the evacuation was amazing, getting them off the beach, but they left so much behind, didn't they? That's crazy. Right, I am using my favourite washers, or some of my favourite washers, the Flory washers. Flory. Don't know how you say it out loud, but these are great. If you don't know them, have a look for them online. They have a website, florymodels.co.uk, and these are the clay washers. So you basically put them on, let them dry, get a damp cloth or a damp brush, and then take them off again, and they remain in the recesses. So they're really good for weathering aircraft and vehicles and things. Would you do a what if video for Operation Sea Lion? I don't know, Jason. To be honest, I'm not particularly interested in alternative history, if I'm honest. It's too contractual. I prefer actual history. You know, that's just my thing, really. And if that's what you're into, then cool bowler. But I just, you know, you can sit and debate what would happen over and over again with everything, really, if you wanted to. But I don't really see much point now. The actual history itself, I think, is interesting enough. So I would. The videos I do are, you know, ones I'm interested in. So it would be more of a chore if I was to do something I didn't particularly have a great deal of interest in. So I'm afraid not is going to be the short answer there. Don't expect to see one. Bobby's Helmer helmet too. Okay. So as I say, with the Flurry Wash stuff, literally all you have to do is just get it on there, and then it'll dry and get into all the recesses and all the crap, and then I'll just what wash is this? This is the one I was on about. Flurry Wash. Flurrymodels.co.uk. FLORY. And this is Grime. They do a lot of different ones. They've got black, white, sand, dirt. But this one is their Grime Wash. I've got a whole box of them here. You can see here. Flurry washers. There you go. And they'll come in this little box. I think it cost me about 40 quid for 8 bottles. There's all sorts. There's rust. Some of them I've never even used. Brown, dark dirt, black, white, sand, and they're fantastic. Really, really good washes. I got them primarily for scale modelling because they're kind of designed for that. But I use them all the time in wargaming models and things as well, like this. So you'll see what I mean if it dries. We'll see if it dries or not. Yeah, it's a good price. It is. This is a good price. And again, I've had these ones for ages, and I've still not used them up, and I'm using them all the time. They go a very long way. One thing I would say is just pour a little bit out into the top, into the cap, because when you dip it into the, you just need to give them a good shake. But for some reason, it gets very bubbly in the actual bottle itself once you've shook it up. But I just always pour a little bit out into the cap like this, and then just you work away from it from that. Really, it's just a bit easier, and it's not full of bubbles and rubbish. Haven't seen any stuff for Flurry for years. Used to look at their stuff while I had my short stint in scale modelling. Must be great for AFVs. Yeah, it is. It's fantastic for AFVs, and yeah, it is. It's good for modelling, making any kind of models. As I say, I've used them loads, and these are perfect. I use them on the 15mm scale vehicles. Sometimes when I'm weathering those as well. It comes a really nice. Let's just give a few more bits here and there. And basically all you do, you put them on, let it dry, get a cloth or something, and then just wipe them off, really. A damp cloth, and just wipe it off. Or you can just leave them on as you want, because the water reactivates them. So they will get mucky again. But what I'll sometimes do is this is the way I do it, and I'll get like a line of it like that, like underneath the eaves where you're going to get drip and stuff. Then just get a big old brush and a big old dry brush like that, and literally drag it down. The more you do it, the more you take off, so you're getting an effect like that. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. So that's one thing I should be £5.99 a bottle. There you go. Nigel's checked. They do the set, Nigel, of 8 in total, which is well worth getting. It's that's the set I've got down there. It's well worth it, I think. I can't remember how much. Do you need to seal the washers? Yes, I'd seal them with the same varnish I do everything else with, because they get activated with water. You're better off sealing them. I wouldn't think you'd have to unless you're getting water everywhere, but I would, and I do. So again, literally all it is just pulling it down the thing. And if you want to, if there's too much there, then you just basically go back and just get a damp cloth or your brush and just go back over it again, and you're fading it out basically. Really simple to use and no hassle at all. Just trying on this one, I'm trying not to make too much of a mess though, because I've been looking at houses recently, and especially white or light painted houses, and just looking at the weathering on them, and there's not always a lot of weather. So there's not a lot of weathering sometimes on buildings, so I don't want to do too much, but enough to make it look like something is happening, where it's not been cleaned up and things. So look. There you go. Just from underneath the eaves of the house itself. I'm doing a Banksy again. I am putting an order tomorrow. Do you want to try the armor? No, don't worry about it. If I do want to get some, I'll get some in the future. I've got plenty of other varnish at the moment, and I've got other things on my spending list at the moment. So cheers. Sean says, I'm sorting through some irregular miniatures bits and pieces from which is either First World War infantry or Spanish Civil War. I can't tell which is which. That's irregular. Are they 6mm? I assume they're 6mm. Yeah, I remember getting their Second World War Romanians about, gosh, it was when I was university, so 20 years ago, because they're based in York, or they were based in York at the time, and they were, I remember their shop, their little garage, as it was, a little lockup, was actually on the way to university. So I called in a couple of times and bought some stuff. And I got some of their Romanians, and I remember them being like little mushrooms, 6mm high mushrooms. The hats were massive on them. I don't know if they've rechanged them or not. Lovely when painting, you need impressionistic eye. Yeah, I think they're a bit hit and miss, aren't they? Some stuff is fantastic, some stuff isn't. It's a real bit of a mixed bag, shall we say. That they they've been doing it for such a long time. They've got such a massive range. Yeah, they were honestly little mushrooms. Buy some just to see what they look like. Next time you put in an order, just get some of their Second World War Romanians. It's like, is this fantasy or what? Are these gnomes or something? Get that? I've just broken the seal on the Agrax. Oh, and I feel good. So now I'm just going to Agrax the edges of the windows. And to be honest, I think that might be enough weathering on this. I'm going to do the interior there, but I just want to get this onto the windows themselves, just to give them a little bit of an impression of something. So this is just going to be I like their 20mm Spanish Civil War. Yeah, I've not seen those. I've not really explored much of their range. There's only bits and pieces. Vincent van Gogh is a god with the regular. It's true. Great moment. Talent in a pot, yes. Instant talent is Agrax, my favourite. And the Zulu War stuff has been great. With some of the other stuff, yeah, like I said, absolutely hit and miss, isn't it? Completely. I guess weathering is done to help people see buildings today in the city with all pollution. Yeah, that's true. Countries of the outside in the 40s didn't have much pollution on. That is very true. But you do, I mean, you just get weathering just from rain, though, don't you? Rain runoff and things from, so like the roof, especially when you've got leading and stuff like that on the roof, it would be, you'd get some muck in it. But yeah, I think we tend to see it with a modern eye. That's very true. And if you look at houses, unless they're in the middle of a war zone, they're relatively pretty clean, really. I really like irregular. But you have to know what you're buying. Yeah, exactly. And it is a bit of a minefield if you don't know what you're buying. And Bernard Godfrey, evening all from across the channel in France. Bonjour. Absolutely. Bonjour from everybody here. Good to have you with us again, Bernard. He's painting up a French house as we speak. Actually, this is probably going to be Dutch Belgian, to be honest. This is probably going to be used mostly in sharp practice more than anything else. But it's a Normandy house on their lists. But it looks like an 18th century farmhouse to me. That's anywhere in that area of Europe, I suppose. So I'm just going to agrax in this in my doors and my windows. I'm not sure what else to do with this, really. I don't want to overdo it. As I said, I don't want it as though it's been in a war zone. If you're at a show and want a 28mm giraffe, a wheelbarrow full of cannonballs, and a 6mm Sassanid Persian army, then a regular the stand for you. Absolutely, 100%. Years ago, I took a friend to a wargaming show for the first time. She'd never been to one. She came along just to see, and she bought a load of wolves from Irregular because she was amazed that you could buy little 28mm wolves. Yeah, they have some crazy stuff. Looks better than mine. Your French farmhouse, Bernard. A bit small, I think. I don't think you want to live in this. Got a box of 6mm Irregular. I just can't work out how to tackle base in them. Brilliant. I was at a show some years ago. They went to Irregular. Tray after tray of little bits. It was fun looking for what you wanted. Yeah, they do. They just spill their trays out, don't they, in front of you? It's like, come and look at our wares. Oh, it's great. I hope they never change. I think it's great. They are one of those companies that just will never change. I don't think. Too far gone. They can't change. So true. Regularly used to come to the States, big shows, H&GS. You would get everything from them. God, I didn't know they went over to the States. You love rooting through them. Stan Ian's dad, Ron. He's 90s now. It still helps out. He gets a lie until mid-morning now. Yeah, they were talking about that on your when they were on your podcast, wasn't he? He was talking about his dad had slowed down a little. But yeah, I did once go into their casting thing. Yeah, I think you had to book in, but I just knocked on the door and they said, "Oh, you're supposed to book in," but they let me in anyway. As I say, I bought a load of Romanians or mushrooms from them. I've got Irregular do the little walled farm in 2mm, and they've got some quite nice 2mm scenery which I use for Blucher, whichever it is. So I've done the Waterloo farms from Irregular. They're quite nice. They had a little Hougemont set, and they also had a little pretend La Haye Saint set as well. So I got those. I think they're the only Irregular things I have. I couldn't tell you what happened to the Romanians, but I don't know anybody else who does 6mm Romanians in the Second World War. Don't know. Perhaps Heroics and Ross might do, but then you'd probably just be able to use French anyway, wouldn't you? Really? You think they're doing the same? Hey, John Wayne Everett, nice to see you. Nice to have you from the USA. Yeah, it was a good podcast, wasn't it? Friends of General Haig. They're an institution. Yeah, absolutely. They are. They are an institution. Like I say, I wouldn't. I don't buy anything from them, but I prefer them to be at a show than not. And you're doing the same. Did you put the Romanians in nice bolognese? I guess I should have done. Probably best place for them, I thought. To be honest. Unfortunately, I don't even like mushrooms. So I couldn't even enjoy them as a culinary delight. Please speak. He was a bit of a technophobe, was he? Would he not? Did he not come onto the onto Zoom or whatever it was you were using? I remember we had issues when you and I had a chat. I think it was mainly on my side. I've since worked out that I was using the wrong internet connection. I was using the 2G, not the 5G one that I should have been using. His son had to set it up. Brilliant. I think we could probably rest assured then that he's not watching this tonight. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it was a good show. All of them have been good, to be honest. I've enjoyed all of the God's Own Scale output. Sure, it's long may it last. I'm sure you've probably got a big list of a big list of guests that you can get on, which is growing all the time, I suppose. Well, you got one tonight anyway from Nigel. What else are we saying? Obligation over here, Mushroom Country, yeah, I suppose so. Steve, I thought Alex said he didn't play fantasy mushroom man. Well, that's why I got rid of him, Steve. Because I thought they were too much like fantasy. This is not Second World War. Long may it last. Yes, indeed. I enjoy all of Sean's podcasts. Yes, we're all agreed. You've got fans amongst the people here, Sean. That's for sure. Bernard, I've got to ask. You've got the Mint in Town from Arkham Horror as your avatar. Why is that in place there? Do you play the card game or any of the Arkham's Files games? I play all of them. I'm a big fan of those games. Oh, there you go. Nigel, you got another follower on Twitter. That's good. That'll be a good one to listen to, I think. The sooner the better. Right. So I've agraxed all that stuff. I've done me wiping of the muck down the side. So I'm just going to agrax the actual grey now on the stone on the base that I put. So what I will do once I've done this is when this is dried, I'll give this a good dry brush across these stones. I might paint a couple of the stones as well just to make them stand out, just to make them look a bit different. But just give it a very light dry brush. I probably stuck the building down a bit too soon, actually. I should have really done the base separately, done the wash and the dry brushing and everything. All of them, I'm a complete Lovecraft doofus. Yeah, me too. I've been a fan of H.P. Lovecraft since I was about 16 or so 30 years now. I used to play Call of Cthulhu role-playing game when I was a youngster, but it's too much effort these days. So now I stick to the Arkham Files games. Although they are expensive, they are excellent because there's a lot of production in them, and I'm happy to pay for it when you can see there's a lot of work being put into the things. I was just working my way through the COC. Yeah, I do. First edition. What was the one I used to play? We used to play. I think it was maybe 4th edition. I think I had a copy of 2nd edition, which I picked up maybe at Triples probably. But we had 4th edition is the one that we used to play. I don't know how much difference there was between all the different editions, really. Time. Yeah, it's the Arkham Horror card game is fantastic. I've never really been a big fan of card games so much, stuff like Magic the Gathering and things, but it's the theme of it. I play it a lot solo. I've been trying to get my wife into it, but when I first bought it, she really didn't like it because it was very hard, and you end up getting killed all the time or going mad. And I always think, having played Call of Cthulhu, it was to me it was just a natural part of playing any kind of Arkham game. Really, is you're either dead or mad at the end of it, and if you're not, then you've done something wrong, I think. Yeah. Right. So I'm just at the moment. I'm just youngster. Yeah. I'm just ink washing the door, the floor panels now, just in Agrax. This is probably all I'll do with those. That's enough for the interior. I'm not that fussed about doing too much detail because you don't really see that much of it in the game, but they are painted. I haven't left them just the blank MDF. With Cho and they're playing Horror in High Gear at the moment. Crazy Card Chase. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've not actually been able to buy that one. I'm aware of it. I've got the first couple from the Innsmouth Conspiracy cycle, but I haven't started playing them because I want to get all of them at the moment. I did just pick up the starter Investigator sets as well, just on last paycheck. They were selling them at Board Game Extras, so I thought, right, I'll snatch all those up, and I want to try those out with some of those Investigators and just see how they do on some of the other some of the scenarios. I haven't got the Dream Eaters yet, and I haven't got the Forgotten Age. They're the only ones I haven't got, and some of the things from the Innsmouth. They're the only bits. But anyway, back in the world of washes, you can see here it's starting to dry a bit, so it's the actual colour has now faded quite a lot. But I'll probably leave this till tomorrow before I bring it up. Or should I? I don't know. Should we have a go now? Let's have a. I think it's dry enough in places for me to give it a go. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter because it's weathering, isn't it? Tile grout looks great. Yeah, I'm really chuffed by it. The way it's turned out, it's going to be my go-to now for all these MDF buildings. It's really worked well. Incredibly surprised at how well it's worked. Crossing Obstacle. I used to play a lot of the Mythos collectible card game. It was very storage driven, which is rare in card games. Yeah, that's the one we talk about. The LCG, the living card game. Or is it Mythos? Is a different one. Stella Clark is great. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about it, and they're all enthusing. I don't know if you ever listened to Drawn to the Flame. That's a good podcast about Arkham Horror. It's really interesting. They go into real depth into a lot of the cards. Your lad plays Arkham, but I've not. They won't let me play anymore since Spartacus. I killed his character. But he does enjoy Arkham. Good. Another one. Right, so like I say, literally, you reinvigorate the stuff by just wetting it again, and it just starts to bring off some of it. Should I do this with a cloth? Right. Let's get a. You do listen to them. Yeah, they're good. They are. They're very good. So, don't know if that's picking up on the camera, but as I'm pulling the damp cloth down over this, it's actually just leaving everything in the recesses. and taking off that top layer of the crap, basically. So it's giving it much more of a subtle look. You can take off as much or as little as you want with your cloth, and that's the beauty of this stuff. So the flurry washers. If you can't see this, I'm actually filming it anyway for a future video as to how I put together this building. So I've been filming this just off the side with my better camera, so you'll be able to see that at some point, I'm sure. Probably in about 18 years because of the build-up of videos I've got. Mythos CCG is Lovecraftian theme from '96. Ah, right, okay. I don't know that one, I don't think. I don't know if this has been picked up or not on the screen. But it's just got a nice weathering effect. And as I say, this is really good. This stuff is really good for any kind of vehicles or aircraft and things. Those models like that. It's an excellent technique to use. Very simple and pretty good price as well. Will I be putting moss on it? Yes, I probably will actually, because I want to cover up. There's a few cracks here and there, things where I've just like around the dormer windows. There's just a couple of bits where I've kind of knackered it and stuff, and I'm going to use moss just to cover up those areas. That's generally what I will use it for. There you go. That's the roof is pretty much done there, I think. I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite pleased with how that looks. Let's have a look at that. So I will seal this in at some point. I'll probably varnish this when I varnish the French infantry as well, just to save time. Yeah, I'm just adding a few more streaks here and there just to try and get that, to dull down the white a little bit, really, more than anything else. I don't want to do too much to it because I'm quite pleased with how that's turned out now. That will take residence in Plants Noir. Will you paint the centre of the chimney pots black? Yes, I most likely will do. Just to finish off the last little bits and pieces. I should have really drilled them out, but I'm not going to lose sleep over non-drilled out chimneys, to be perfectly honest. Thanks, Paul. I realise that I've not actually done much weathering on the dormer windows either, so I'm just going to do a tiny bit of that. Weathering is one of those things where you can neither do you can never do too much and you never do too little, I think. It's always a nice part of the model or the build. There you go, just to make a look of it. Just again, slightly scruffy, just to take off the white glow. I think that'll do. It'll make a huge difference, but it's enough and I can see it, and that's the main thing. We say the colour of the roof matches the painting really well. Thank you. Well, this, like the other building I've done for Sharp Predators, I've kind of based it off the image of the Prussians attacking a Plants Noir, and that's basically it's a white building with a blue tiled roof. So I've basically taken that as my inspiration, and then I just kind of thought I'll just do some fancy painting on the windowsills and the doorways and stuff. So I'm glad it looks good. Well, you think it looks good. Steve says it looks great. Thank you, Steve. Very much appreciated. Right, okay, well that's that done. It's only 9:15, so I'm going to stick that to one side for a minute. And the next thing I said I wanted to do, and this is probably going to be the last thing I'll do tonight. So I'm going to put these Frenchmen onto the bases. Because I was waiting the other day for 15mm MDF bases, and they came through the post yesterday, I think it was. 150 of them. I've taken them out of their things, so I've just literally got these ready. So what I want to do is get these Frenchmen finished up, so I've got quite a sizable force. Then I can play a couple of games of sharp practice over the next couple of weeks, because I've got quite a few British already. I've now got quite a few French as well now, so I can actually have a couple of games with a decent number of figures in it. So this is what I'm wanting to do next. So just get a few of these out, and I'm just going to literally super glue these down, and then I think I'm going to call that a night. But so this is going to be a nice easy job. It's a bit late to start doing the to start putting the polyfiller on these, I think, because it'll take a while, because there's a lot of them. There's about 20 or 30 figures, I think, here. So I don't want to do, and the polyfillering takes ages, so I don't want to start it tonight. I was going to this weekend. I've been thinking about what game I'm going to play, and I'm going to have a look again at O Group, because I've not played it for a little while, a couple of weeks. And I'm going to do, I don't know if I can't remember if I told you this last time, but I'm going to be doing the landings at Kotoboru on the Malayan coast, 1941, Japanese landings. Building looks great, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm quite chuffed with that. And yes, it's going to be interesting, because I'm going to do a beach attack. Great paints and chat. Cheers, Nigel. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a beach attack, so that's going to be interesting. There's going to be no armor, because the Japanese didn't have any armor at that point, because it hadn't landed yet. I'm going to see how it goes. Basically, the idea is the Japanese have got to get off one edge of the board to win, as they did in real life. But I've found an old bedcloth, an old blue bedcloth. So I'm going to use that for the sea, and I've got a load of sand. I've got an idea as to how I want the board to look, but whether it turns out looking any good or not is a different matter. I'm going to have to put that together tomorrow when I finish work. But I'm going to see how it goes. But it's basically sea, beach, and then jungle, and that's literally all there is on the board. And it's going to be a bit weird, because there's not many hills or anything, and it's going to be a little bit different to what I reckon most games of O Group probably look like, because I think a lot of people are probably playing it in Normandy or the Western Front. There's a few people doing it on the Eastern Front, but I don't see much else. Since talking chat with Paul, I've started to get my early Fallschirmjäger for O Group. I am being shot mum for next month's game. I'm working on. Excellent. It's good to hear. Squint. Everything looks good when you squint. That is true. But does it look good on a does it look good when you're filming it for public consumption on YouTube? That's the other question. Yeah, but in recent years, I've kind of prompted by my mates, and also by the stuff that you see on Twitter and things, I just try to improve the look of my board, because we spend all the time painting the figures to look nice, but then sometimes the boards just get ignored. So I try to make the board look as nice as the figures. Enjoy it all. What kind of landing craft do the Japanese use? They had actual landing craft. They had a couple of transport ships. The Maru was one of them. Kotobaru. I think there was 3 in total. And then they transferred to smaller craft. I don't think they were much like the LCTs of 44. They're a bit more rudimentary. I'm kind of just going really off what images I've seen. I don't know a great deal about them, to be honest. Any idea why the Western Front is called the Western Front? From our perspective, it's slightly east. It's a very good point, and not one I'd ever considered. Largely, I guess, because we were fighting the Germans, and the Germans were the main enemy, and they were fighting on their west, I suppose. And it differentiates it from the Eastern Front, which is, I suppose, Russia and Eastern Europe. I suppose it's just that division, isn't it, between, as opposed to Eastern Europe. It's Eastern Europe and Western Europe, isn't it, really? I suppose it's not supposed, because you don't call you call it the Eastern Front, and then you call it the Far East. So it's not like the Eastern Front is the fight against Japan, is it? It's the Eastern Front is Russia, Soviet Russia. And I guess that probably really comes from the First World War more than anything else. I think they use barges as well. Yeah, they probably do. Probably comes from the First World War because, again, there wasn't much of an Far Eastern front. I mean, there was some fighting in China and the German colonies out there, like Tsingtao and places like that. And Japan were fighting German troops at some point out there, but it wasn't a massive theatre. So the Eastern Front then was definitely the Russian front. Again, goes back to Eastern Europe, I suppose. I guess it just comes from that, really. The etymology of it all. I do occasionally get a little frustrated that a lot of people just seem to think the Second World War was just Normandy. That's something I picked up today. The We Have Ways podcast were talking about Stalingrad and talking about it as always this great revelation. It's like, it's not really a new perspective. It's it's something that, if you know anything about the Second World War, you should know at least a little bit about Stalingrad, I'm sure. But just my bugbear. Oh, I should have cleaned these figures up before. I thought I had done. I haven't. These are the really nice AB miniatures. These are the ones from Eureka, the Australian company. I think somebody said the other week on one of the patron chat that they knew the guy who'd done the sculpts for these, and they're lovely. It's saying the Western Desert gets really confusing. That's true. It was a question John Bourne, another Stokey, asked at one of his lectures. Yeah, a couple of John Bourne's books on the First World War, the Unquiet Western Front. Yeah, I mean, it is. From our perspective, from an British perspective, it is. Normandy is east, so argue, but then there isn't anything further west than that, is there? And the 14th Army wasn't called the Forgotten Army for nothing. Yeah, exactly. I just played Mokra with Warfighter from the German perspective. Failed miserably. Stalingrad, isn't that just south of Rotherham? Yeah. Just near Worksop, actually. Just before you get down there, Shire Oaks, Stalingrad, Worksop. That's how it goes. It's just off the A57. So it's on my bucket. John Bourne is an excellent First World War historian, as we both know, Nigel. It's on my bucket list to visit is Stalingrad, although I hate using the phrase bucket list. But yeah, he said I'd love to go. Well, Volgograd, as it is known now, just to go and have a look at some of the sites and the monuments. I don't think I'd be able to convince my wife to go though. Come on, let's go to the Volga. It's beautiful down there in the summer. Why do you want to go there? No reason really. Just like to go see some of Russia. Yeah, it would be a great place to visit. go up onto the Mame of Kurgan, see the huge statue of Mother Russia and all the defenders, and Pavlov's house and the factories, the fight for the factories. But I think she'd get very bored very quickly. So I said to her I was going to go to Waterloo at some point, and she said, "Oh, I might come with you. Would it be interesting for me?" I said, "Well, if you want to spend 4 days looking at open fields, then please be my guest. Come with me. But you can't come to Waterloo and then after a day say you're bored of looking at battlefields, because that's not why I'm going." So I think she'd be more than happy if I go on my own. Right. I'm also filming this as well. Just off the side here, I've got my other camera set up and running, and I'm just filming the process of painting French Napoleonics for another video at some point in the future. I figure because I do these very basically, if I do a basic introduction as to how to paint them, it might help somebody paint them. Just show them how to do these quick for the table. So I prefer to have those kind of videos out there for people who just want to learn the basics, because I'm a very basic painter when it comes down to it. But yeah, I'm almost well and truly into the 50mm Napoleonic rabbit hole at this point. I've given up all pretense of not going into it. We get a raw view from the media. Russia isn't only King Vlad. They're pretty much like Westerners, just Eastern. True that. Is your wife an archaeologist as well, Alex? Yes, she is. You have to bail. All right, Nigel. Thanks for that. I used to be a coach driver on the continent. Done quite a few battlefield tours, I'm sure. Yeah, good thing to be able to get into them. Yeah, my wife is an archaeologist, Andrew, but she works over in Vienna. Her speciality is Bronze Age Greek pottery, which she looks at microscopic levels using the spectrum magnetometer or whatever it's called, magnifier. So she looks at things at microscopic levels, and she can work out the geology that was in the clays that was used to make the pottery, and how they were formed, and the technology they used to make the pots. And then from that she can work out whereabouts these pots were sourced from, so you can see where trade and things happened in the ancient past. It's all very clever stuff, way beyond my understanding. I was at Waterloo with my wife and her family a few years ago. They went up the Lion Mound, and wife and mother-in-law said, "Right, should we head back for lunch?" It's like, what? No, we've got to go and stand where Picton was. That's not going to happen. There's some really nice statues in Vienna. Yeah, Vienna's great for that. My wife and children got bored when I used to visit battlefield war sites. I know they do, so that's why I said to my wife, I'll go on my own, because you'll get bored after a day and then just complain, I think. And it won't be fun for either of us. Whereas I'd just be happy to stand in the middle of where a British square was for about 3 hours, taking in the atmosphere. I don't think she'd like that. We've got 2, 4, 5. So I've got 26 of these chaps advancing, and I think there's about 26 of these as well. So let's have a look. Just going to put these into order. So we've got 5 there. But yeah, I think I'm going to shut off for the night now. It's 9 o'clock, and that's enough for me. Next one of these will be Sunday nights, I should think. So if you are around, please do pop in and say hello. And if not, watch it on the catch-up if you want. Where I lived in Paris, I used to visit Normandy and the Somme quite regularly to get away from the rat race. Yeah, Somme's fantastic. Great place. One of my favourite places. I love it. I've just not been for a long time. And so we've got 19 of those. So 19 and 26, quickly, everyone. That is, I don't know, 45, I think, isn't it? Yes. Right. Cheers, chaps. Good night to everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. It's been fun. It's been emotional, as always. But I'm going to sign off. And yes, we will drink to the Caesar winners, no matter who they are. It will be an interesting watch. So please do watch it on Saturday or Sunday morning if you're not up that late. And good night and farewell.